A monster that cries like a baby to lure its victims into a trap. A creature with huge wings and red eyes stalking people. Ghosts of children demanding sacrifices and dragging fishermen to the depths. All these are characters from urban legends and myths of the indigenous peoples of America. Today I will tell you about the creepiest monsters that can scare even adults. Chupacabra. Perhaps one of the most well-known creatures. Chupacabra. It terrifies farmers because, according to legend, the monster kills livestock and drinks the blood of animals. It is believed that goats are most often its victims. This belief is connected to the word chupacabra. It comes from the Spanish language and means goat sucker. The creature with sharp teeth and glowing eyes allegedly first appeared in Puerto Rico in the middle of the last century. There, several dead goats were found with their blood drained. The local residents decided that the livestock was killed by a terrifying creature that no one had encountered before. Soon, the presence of the mythical monster spread to Central America and the southern United States. The chupacabra is described as a four-legged animal resembling a dog or coyote with fangs and a pig-like snout. However, the monster is also attributed with features of a bat, reptile, and even an insect. In recent years, there have been several mysterious incidents in Texas related to alleged sightings of the chupacabra. A few years ago, surveillance cameras at the Amarillo Zoo captured an unidentified object. The recorded video sparked numerous theories, from an animal in an unusual headpiece to a large coyote on its hind legs, and of course, the mythical chupacabra. Earlier in Houston, a strange creature was caught on video, also evoking associations with the bloodsucker. Before that, a family from Red Cliff claimed to have captured a creature they believed to be a chupacabra. In the mid-2000s, a farmer caught a hairless creature resembling a dog in a trap. It was attacking his livestock. However, DNA analysis showed that the trap had caught a very old coyote. Geneticists and biologists have repeatedly studied the supposed remains of the chupacabra. Mostly, these were dogs with allergies that caused them to lose their fur. These are also coyotes with severe sarcoptic mange. Due to the disease, the coyote's skin became gray and scaly, and the remaining fur turned bristly. Such appearances of animals gave rise to the legends of the chupacabra. The Otter Man. Far less known, but no less sinister, are the stories about a creature known as Kushtaka or the Otter Man. In the legends of one of the indigenous peoples, it is a malevolent, bodiless spirit capable of shape-shifting. According to the tales, it appeared in Alaska many millennia ago. It is a demon that can take the form of a half-human, half-otter. Eyewitness descriptions depict a monster about 8 feet tall, with well-developed muscles. The creature walks on 2 legs, its long arms almost reaching down to its knees from the torso, and its head is slightly tilted forward. Long sharp claws are visible on its powerful forelimbs. The Kushtaka can also appear in the guise of a child or a beautiful girl, luring unsuspecting travelers into deadly places. The mysterious creature attracts the keen attention of cryptozoologists. The indigenous population has told scientists many terrifying stories. According to the locals, the monster lures people into the forest and can overturn a boat with a fisherman. They believe that people who disappeared while hunting or fishing became victims of the monster. Despite numerous attempts, the beast has not been caught. The testimony of the indigenous people, many of whom believe in the existence of the Otter Man, and some even claim personal encounters with it, keeps the interest in this mystery alive. The Mothman. Another mysterious cryptid is the Mothman. Reports about it have come from various parts of the world, including the USA. It is depicted as a humanoid creature up to 13 feet tall. The monster has large, bright red eyes that, according to eyewitnesses, emit an unusual glow. The body is covered with thick, dark fur or a fluffy black coat. Large wings are the main feature of the creature. Some witnesses compare them to butterfly wings, others to bat wings. Some sources mention the presence of hands with long, sharp claws. The creature is first mentioned in an American urban legend from the 60s. 5 people who were digging a grave in a cemetery in West Virginia claimed to have seen a flying humanoid figure. 3 days later, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant reported to the police that they saw a large creature with glowing red eyes. According to their accounts, it was a flying man with large wings who chased their car. Over 2 years, about 100 people reported sightings of the Mothman. Some paranormal researchers suggested its extraterrestrial origin, connection to the otherworldly, or belonging to species unknown to science. However, skeptics explained the phenomenon more rationally. The appearance of the mothman could have been just a hoax, an unidentified flying object, or a large bird. While traveling across America, you're unlikely to encounter a monster, but more real problems are much more likely. Have you been in a car accident in America and don't know what to do next? Where to seek help? Where to find a competent lawyer? How to get compensation if you don't have insurance? The company Accident America has helped obtain $21 million in compensation for its clients. Here, they will definitely answer all your questions. Link in the description. Slope. Imagine the darkness of the ancient forests of northern Pennsylvania, pierced by moonlight. In the silence, a heart-wrenching cry is heard. It's the squonk. Legends of the squonk likely emerged in the late 19th century, when the state was actively developing its forestry industry and logging. The bitter tears of the squonk are an echo of the pain born from the destruction of trees. There is no complete description of the squonk. According to legends, its skin is very poor, covered with warts, growths, and blemishes. The squonk constantly weeps bitterly because of its ugliness, and the creature is said to be inclined to solitude. It only comes out of its burrow under the cover of night, fearing to be seen by travelers. You can tell a squonk is nearby by the wet tracks or the sound of crying. It's easiest to see it in cold weather. Under a full moon, the squonk becomes less mobile. Its crying is more audible, and sometimes it cries so much that it can completely dissolve in its own tears. Sometimes we are all a little like a squonk. Admit it, this ability helps the emotional forest dweller. The crying monster was hunted, but they couldn't capture it, because it would dissolve in its tears when cornered. Bigfoot. About a century ago, a group of miners working near Mount St. Helens in Washington reported an encounter with huge humanoid creatures. While in a cabin, they were attacked by gorilla-like people and had to open fire to scare them off. Skeptics explained this incident as the influence of the isolated and eerie environment on the miner's psyche. However, this report of Bigfoot was not the only one. According to legends, a creature known as the Yeti or Bigfoot roams the forests of Washington, Oregon, and the northern regions of California. It stands up to 10 feet tall, and its body is covered with thick fur. The dark fur allows Bigfoot to blend in with the environment. Despite numerous testimonies from different people, concrete evidence of Bigfoot's existence has yet to be found. Some scientists believe that these testimonies are nothing more than misidentifications of known animals. Once, hair that was supposedly from the forest monster was sent for analysis. However, the results showed that the fur belonged to the deer family. Most of the photographs are usually of poor quality or taken in low light. Nevertheless, the theory of Bigfoot's existence has always had plenty of supporters. Lechuza. In Texas folklore, there is a myth about the lechuza, a creature born from a deal with the devil. In some legends, lechuzas are women who practiced witchcraft and paid the price for it. Under the cover of night, they transformed into owls with human faces, retaining their earthly beauty. Once a bird, the lechuza would go hunting. The monster would lie in wait for its prey in secluded places, luring it with a creepy whistle, or the cry of a baby. Then, like lightning, the harpy would suddenly pounce on its victim. There are also legends that the lechuza is the spirit of a woman who was murdered and returned from the grave to sow terror and avenge her tragic fate. In the modern world, according to tales, encounters with her most often occur during night drives on deserted roads. Neither steel nor bullets can harm her. It is said that she is immortal. The only known means of protection is salt. If you hear her piercing scream, drive her away with curses, threaten her, and scold her. The main thing is, under no circumstances should you try to find the source of the sound, whether it's a whistle or a child's cry in the night. Rougarou. If the lechuza is an owl with a woman's head, then the rougarou is different. He appears as a man with the head of a wolf or a dog. There are also variations of hybrids with other animals like pigs, cows, or even chickens. This is a folkloric werewolf from Louisiana. According to legend, those who become rougarou are the ones who sold their soul to the devil. This curse lasts for 101 days, after which it transfers to the person whose blood the rougarou has drunk. During the day, the rougarou looks like an ordinary person, although they behave strangely. The creature inhabits the swamps and forests between Acadiana and New Orleans. The transformation happens instantly, without any visible effort, as if the body turns inside out. Before the transformation, the rougarou looks like an ordinary person. In its beastly form, it possesses incredible strength but retains human intelligence and control over animal instincts. Unlike classic werewolves, for a complete transformation, the rougarou requires human blood. The rougarou curse can be hereditary, passed from father to son. The monster can be killed with fire, a bullet, or a knife. There is a belief that spilling its blood returns the person to human form, although in some versions of the legend, this leads to the death of the person who spilled the blood a year later. Water babies. The legends of the Great Basin tribes tell of water babies, creatures that dwell in springs. In ponds and lakes, their cries resemble those of a child and serve as a lure for victims whom they await in the waters. These dangerous creatures, according to some versions, are the ghosts of infants killed by their mothers when famines spread across the land, according to the beliefs of one of the tribes. Water babies are powerful spirits dwelling in the waters of their lands, especially around Lake Tahoe on the border of California and Nevada. They were believed to be capable of both benevolent and punishing actions up to and including death. The southern shore of Lake Tahoe, particularly a cave in the rock, was considered a sacred place associated with the water babies. Only shamans could visit this cave for spiritual cleansing, communicating with spirits, and offering them gifts in hopes of gaining their support. Before going out on the lake or fishing, the locals performed rituals. They offered them corn bread and pine nuts. The food was placed in baskets sealed with resin and lowered into the water. These offerings were meant to protect the fishermen from perishing and ensure a good catch. The disappearance of people on the lake was explained by the wrath of the water children who destroyed them. The Dead Bride. Equally terrifying are modern urban legends, such as that of the Dead Bride. The image of a sad and mysterious ghost in a wedding dress has firmly taken root in American folklore, fueling many stories, legends, and beliefs. She represents a composite image based on common motifs. A tragic death on the eve of or on the wedding day, unquenchable sorrow, and sometimes a thirst for revenge. The narrative of dead brides varies depending on the region. In some stories, the ghost of the woman simply mourns, wandering through places connected to her life, such as her home, church, or cemetery. She may quietly cry, softly sing wedding songs, or simply watch the living. In other stories, the dead bride more actively tries to interact with the living, warning them of danger or seeking comfort. In the darkest versions, she becomes a malevolent spirit, seeking revenge on those she believes are responsible for her death. According to one legend from Susquehanna Road in Pennsylvania, you can encounter the ghost of a girl at the railroad bridge over the Susquehanna River. Locals claim that if you stop at the bridge, turn off the engine, place the keys on the roof of the car, and wait a bit, you can see a ghost emitting a piercing scream in the rearview mirror. Most stories say that this is the spirit of a woman who was left at the altar and decided to end her life. Either way, personally, I wouldn't stop the car to find out the reasons from the dead bride. Her sorrows. The clown. In the early 90s, when audiences everywhere were laughing at the eccentric clown Homie D, played by Damon Wayans. In the comedy show In Living Color, there was an atmosphere of terror in Chicago. The city was gripped by a wave of panic caused by rumors of a mysterious clown that children feared. He became the subject of numerous reports of child abductions. The overwhelming majority of information came from children, which undoubtedly added complexity to the investigation. The police took these reports very seriously, but the contradictory testimony significantly hindered the search for the alleged criminal. The description of the vehicle the clown was using varied from a black pickup truck to an Oldsmobile, or a van, with a frightening inscription "Haha" on the side. In addition to verbal testimonies, parents received anonymous letters warning about the clown, which further intensified the atmosphere of fear and anxiety. Additional security measures were implemented in schools, and parents picked up their children earlier than usual, fearing for their safety. Ultimately, despite all the efforts of law enforcement, the police classified these reports as an urban legend. The Devil's Chair. In the heart of Alma Cemetery, a quiet provincial necropolis in Kansas, lies a grim secret. There is a boarded-up well, shrouded in legends and rumors. The story of its origin dates back to ancient times when these lands belonged to a grumpy and reclusive farmer. The man stubbornly refused to sell his plot for the development of the newly established town of Alma. One day, the farmer disappeared without a trace. After some time, a disgusting, nauseating smell began to emanate from the abandoned well on his property, permeating the air around. Instead of investigating the farmer's disappearance and the source of the stench, the town authorities made an unusual decision. The well was boarded up, and they continued to build a cemetery around it. The story didn't end there. Soon, stories of mysterious disappearances began to spread among the residents of Alma. Brave or perhaps just careless visitors to the cemetery, who decided to sit on the well's cover, disappeared without a trace. These stories, reinforced by the grim atmosphere of the cemetery itself and the mysterious origin of the well, gave rise to the eerie legend of the Devil's Chair. The mystery of the Devil's Chair still captivates the imagination and continues to attract paranormal researchers, adding a sinister reputation to the Alma Cemetery. What does the boarded-up well hide? The answer, it seems, will forever remain buried underground. Ghost of children in the cemetery. Your cemetery legend is in the state of Alabama. In the center of the city's oldest necropolis, there is a playground that has become the epicenter of paranormal activity. Local residents talk about the oddities occurring at the playground. Especially in the evenings and at night, the swings move on their own, as if an invisible force sets them in motion. Witnesses describe the appearance of glowing orbs floating in the air, as well as hearing mysterious voices and children's laughter. At the heart of these terrifying stories is a legend about a tragedy that occurred in the 1960s. According to the legend, several children disappeared without a trace and were found dead at this very playground, under circumstances that remain unexplained to this day. There is a theory that the children were kidnapped. After that, the ghosts of the children roamed the playground and reminded visitors of the cemetery about themselves. One day, the city authorities removed the old play structures to make room for new burials. The local residents were unhappy with this decision. A strong emotional connection to this place made them protest until the city authorities agreed to build a new playground. In the same place, Wendigo. In the depths of the Minnesota forest dwells the Wendigo. This is a terrifying creature from Native American folklore. Many believe that the monster is responsible for numerous mysterious disappearances in this region. The height of the Wendigo can reach over 14 feet. It has long sharp fangs, and its eyes glow like burning coals in the pitch darkness. Its body can be emaciated, bony, with unnaturally long limbs. In some legends, the Wendigo emits an icy breath capable of freezing everything around. What makes the Wendigo particularly terrifying is its origin. According to legends, Wendigos were once human but turned into monsters after tasting human flesh. The process of transformation is described in various ways. It can be a gradual change in personality, accompanied by an ever-growing thirst for human flesh, or a sudden shock transformation into a monstrous creature. There are accounts from experienced hunters. For example, a story from a Cree tribe hunter who claimed to have killed more than one Wendigo. He recounted an incident where, according to him, a Wendigo possessed a woman. Conclusion. All these stories are full of mysteries and remind us of the horrors that lurk in the night. However, I hope I didn't scare you too much. After all, these are just legends and myths based on superstitions and fantasies. Now you know a little more about US folklore. Write in the comments which legend is your favorite.